Oh, this is where I get mad. No, I'm just the score, the numbers is... Hi, my name is Carlos Aguilar. I'm a Tomato Meter approved critic. I've been a film critic for the last 10 years, and you can read my work at places like the New York Times, Los Angeles Times, Variety, and IndieWire. Today on Critical Thinking, we're taking a look at the Disney films from the Disney Renaissance on the occasion of the 30th anniversary of The Lion King. Animation has always been a passion of mine. I've written extensively about the medium of animation. I think in the last few years there's been sort of like a movement to get away from the notion of it being a genre. There are animated films that are dramatic, there are comedies, there are action. So it's a passion of mine to sort of like get more attention on the art form of animation. What's known as the Disney Renaissance is this period of about 10 years, which kicked off with The Little Mermaid in 1989. It's a period that follows a dark few years at Disney Animation, where a film like The Black Cauldron was a box office failure and almost killed the animation studio at Disney. So when executive Jeffrey Katzenberg came in, he's credited with being the force behind revitalizing the animation studio. There were a few films before The Little Mermaid that he was involved in, but it wasn't until this one in 1989, which was a box office hit, that this period of the Disney Renaissance really took off and gave us a decade of amazing films. Let's take a look at The Little Mermaid. The Little Mermaid is very famous for its music and numbers, which are, obviously fantastic. One of them even won an Academy Award from the songs that Howard Ashman and Alan Menken created. But I think that there's also great dramatic moments in this film and in a lot of the Disney Renaissance movies.
Why can't you just tell me what this is all about? You'll see. It's a surprise.
This particular clip takes place after Flounder has rescued a statue of Prince Eric, and it's sort of like showing her, romantic adoration to this statue that represents the guy that she likes. But, Sebastian, the crab, has informed King Triton, and he is not happy about this.
Daddy!
I consider myself a reasonable merman. I set certain rules, and I expect those rules to be obeyed.
But Daddy...
Is it true you rescued a human from drowning?
Daddy, I had to...
Contact between the human world and the mer world is strictly forbidden. Ariel, you know that. Everyone knows that.
He would have died.
One less human to worry about.
You don't even know him.
Know him? I don't have to know him. They're all the same. Spineless, savage, harpooning fish eaters, incapable of any feeling.
Daddy, I love him!
No.
King Triton's parenting is interesting, to say the least. He's clearly afraid of humans, and in his efforts to protect Ariel, he takes this very harsh approach. And I just think it's a very interesting sort of a dynamic of power between father and daughter. Ariel is clearly defying his wishes by keeping this spot where she hides all the things that she collects from humans.
Have you lost your senses completely? He's a human. You're a mermaid.
I don't care.
So help me, Ariel. I am going to get through to you. And if this is the only way, so be it.
Daddy! No! No!
Yeah, I feel like, a scene that is aggressive and violent in a way, he's destroying these things that mean so much to her in an effort to protect her. Well, what does that say about him? And I think that there's a moment near the end of the clip where he looks back and you could see the remorse on his face. And I think that that's really, kind of a testament to the animators, those subtle nuances that they do in the performances of the characters that really bring out the drama of scenes like this. With the Disney films, I always find it interesting how much of a mature themes they manage to discuss or to put into these films that oftentimes is seen as, you know, just entertainment for kids. So when I watch a film that is aimed at young audiences, I'm always fascinated when the filmmakers are really doing something that feels like they're trying to grapple with real, you know, drama, real mature subjects, with, you know, kind of the reality of the human condition, even in these films that a lot of people dismiss as children's entertainment. And I think that a moment like this in this film really captures that. And now let's take a look at what the critics thought of this movie. The Little Mermaid ushered in a new golden era of Disney animation with warm and charming hand-drawn characters and catchy musical numbers. I am actually shocked that the audience score is 88% and that the critics are higher on it. Oftentimes for you know, mainstream animated movies aimed at kids, I feel like it's the other way around. Usually critics tend to be, you know, harsher, and the audiences embrace them with less qualms. So I'm actually very surprised that it's just a little lower for the audience. Definitely deserves to be fresh. 91 feels perhaps a little low for me. And now let's take a look at Beauty and the Beast, the first animated feature to be nominated for the Best Picture Academy Award. Again, I feel like with the Renaissance films, the music is always sort of the, you know, front and center, but I love the moments that are dramatic in ways that feel sort of intense and unexpected. This particular clip is when Belle enters the Beast Castle and, you know, discovers that Maurice, her father, has been kidnapped, and sort of offers herself in his place. And it's the first time we get to see the Beast.
I want you to leave this place.
Who's done this to you?
No time to explain. You must go now.
I won't leave you.
What are you doing here?
Who's there? Who are you?
The master of this castle.
I've come for my father. Please let him out. Can't you see he's sick?
Then he shouldn't have trespassed here.
But he could die. Please, I'll do anything.
There's nothing you can do.
Yeah, I think this particular clip really conveys how scary the Beast is. The Beast is essentially a villain who is exchanging, you know, hostages.
Take me instead.
You would take his place?
Belle, no! You don't know what you're doing!
If I did, would you let him go?
Yes. But you must promise to stay here forever.
Come into the light.
I also think that the lighting in this scene is particularly beautiful. When Belle asks Beast to come into the light, you know, he steps into this gleam of moonlight that's coming in through a crack or a window, and we get to see the imposing figure. What I also love is the voice performance here. The Beast starts out in this very harsh tone, so demanding that, you know, that Maurice stays, but the moment Belle suggests that she could take his place, then hope enters the picture for Beast, and so we really get to hear how that, you know, facade of you know, harshness and bitterness sort of fades away for a moment in his voice when, you know, he gets the sense that perhaps Belle could be the answer to his curse. So I think this clip does a really great job at setting up that relationship between Belle and the Beast. And now let's take a look at the critics' consensus on Beauty and the Beast. Enchanting, sweetly romantic, and featuring plenty of wonderful musical numbers, Beauty and the Beast is one of Disney's most elegant animated offerings. If there was going to be a movie that united, you know, both audiences and critics, it would be this one. It was such a breakthrough for animation, you know, getting the recognition of the Oscars and the digital elements that were featured in this film and during the famous ball sequence. So yeah, I feel like this one is deserving of both, you know, the critical score and the audience score. And I'm not a fan of the live action movie, so I will always encourage people to see the animated one first. Next up, we have The Lion King, the reason why we're here. I mean, The Lion King is famously based on Hamlet and, you know, transposed to the African landscape. It's the most successful of all of these Renaissance films. It's really one of the landmark films financially and artistically for the studio. In this clip, we see Simba all grown up now, and he encounters Rafiki, the wise baboon, and he gets to have a otherworldly supernatural encounter with his father Mufasa.
He lives in you.
Simba.
Father?
Simba, you have forgotten me.
No. How could I?
You have forgotten who you are, and so forgotten me. Look inside yourself, Simba. You are more than what you have become. You must take your place in the circle of life.
How can I go back? I'm not who I used to be.
Remember who you are. You are my son, and the one true king. Remember who you are.
No! Please! Don't leave me!
Remember.
Father!
Remember.
Don't leave me.
Yeah, I mean, this one's such a powerful moment. Just rewatching it now, just, you know, feels epic and just kind of heartfelt and heart-stirring in a way that really connected with people. I think the animation is beautiful, how, you know, Mufasa's figure comes through the clouds and we get to see this almost like a spirit manifested in the clouds. Just really has a powerful way of, you know, interpreting father, son, or, you know, children and parent relationships. And just thinking about the clips that we watched so far, I feel like that's a recurring theme in Disney films, and maybe something I particularly resonate with when I watch these movies. The notion that they have very kind of thorny parent-child relationships throughout, and this one feels, you know, kind of very validating for Simba. This one is beloved for sure, and I think that that's very deserving. I'm actually surprised not to see that the musical numbers are mentioned in the critics' consensus, because there's some great musical numbers here. Elton John won an Oscar for one of the songs in this film, so the music is definitely present here. I mean, I think it definitely, you know, nostalgia plays a part in how you perceive a film. I think that because I saw these films growing up and they became a part of my movie watching identity as a kid, you know, watching them in theaters and then at home, I feel like there's a connection there that is kind of inescapable. That's the reason why I understand that certain new animated films that feel kind of forgettable to me become really kind of cultural juggernauts with young children. They represent something for them that at my age perhaps I cannot connect with, and maybe that's why some of these Disney films really resonate with me. Although I will say that the critical consensus and the reaction back then to them was also positive. So I feel validated that perhaps it's not only nostalgia, that people who were adults writing about movies back then, or even the Oscars, you know, nominated Beauty and the Beast for Best Picture. So yes, nostalgia plays a part, but I do think that these movies were doing something that even those who didn't watch them as kids can recognize as particularly accomplished and worthy of praise. And now we're taking a look at The Hunchback of Notre Dame. This one feels like a strange choice for a children's film. The fact that they decided to adapt it and make it this large, epic musical always kind of puzzled me growing up, and even later I always thought of this as a story that felt very adult and dark and with a lot of complicated topics, and the fact that they package this into a musical, beautifully animated with, you know, some humor kind of weaved into it, feels like something that probably they wouldn't attempt today. My favorite moment in this film is Esmeralda's musical number called God Help the Outcast. This is after she has earned the scorn of Frollo and must seek refuge in the church. She's part of the Romani people, and, you know, they're seen as outcasts themselves, and that's likely why she connects with Quasimodo, the hunchback in, you know, in the tower. And in this particular song, she's pleading to God, or, you know, the powers that be, supernaturally, for the safety of her people. Yeah, that's definitely a scene that makes me think they don't make them like they used to. You know, it's such a beautiful, powerful moment. The animation is gorgeous. The backgrounds, you know, the stained glass, the reflections, the candles that Esmeralda walks through. The fact that it exists in this movie really, as a child, kind of shocked me. And then, you know, as an adult, it still kind of makes me feel like the filmmakers really got away with making a movie that could be a Broadway musical, that could have been a live action movie, and it is rendered in this gorgeous animation. Yeah, I think this is one of the best scenes in Disney history in general. It's a favorite of mine. And now let's take a look at the critics' consensus for The Hunchback of Notre Dame. Oh, this is where I get mad. Okay. Oh, wow. Disney's take on the Victor Hugo classic is dramatically uneven, but its strong visuals, dark themes, and message of tolerance make for a more sophisticated than average children's film. Yeah, I guess this one's the one that I disagree with the most. To an extent, I would agree with the notion of the film being dramatically uneven. I think there's a lot of talk about the gargoyles, who are the comedic relief in the film. I find them enjoyable. But I think that there is something to be said about the movie being so dark and heavy, and then having sort of these moments of levity and kind of silliness. Having said that, I think that this one definitely has a higher spot in my personal book. I think that it's one of my top 5 Disney movies ever, and I'm glad that they were able to take this big swing. So now we're going to take a look at Hercules, which is one of my personal favorites. It's a wild take on Greek mythology, which was not well received by Greek people back then. The Lion King had been such a major success that all of the subsequent movies had a lot of pressure on them to also succeed at the box office. And while Hunchback and Pocahontas were not flops by any means, they still didn't manage to reach the levels that the Lion King did. And so the hope was that Hercules, being sort of a lighter, fun movie, could perhaps you know, revitalize the box office, or, you know, get to that Lion King benchmark. This one is just a fun take on Greek mythology, and let's take a look at a clip when Hercules is fighting the Hydra. So yeah, this one's a really kind of thrilling, exciting action sequence, and from a technical level, this sequence was difficult because of the multiple heads of the Hydra. I believe it was around 30 heads, and so they decided to create the monster in using computers and CG rather than hand-drawn, and so they had to blend these two different techniques in this sequence.
Will you forget the head slicing thing? Phil, I don't think we covered this one in basic training.
I think this is one of the best examples of that combination between the old and the new that Disney was sort of pioneering in the 90s, you know, with the ballroom scene in Beauty and the Beast, here, and then later in films like Tarzan. I think it's shocking that critics liked it more than audiences, especially because this one is such a fun romp, you know. The musical number from Zero to Hero, where the musics are sort of detailing the rise of Hercules as a celebrity in ancient Greece, I think is hilarious and fun, and almost like ahead of its time in predicting, you know, what a culture would become with celebrity culture and brand deals and sponsorships. Hercules has his own drink, his own tennis shoes, he's signing autographs, he's become larger than life, and now his celebrity is sort of more important than what he wants to accomplish, which is, you know, get back to his father in Mount Olympus. And so I think this one is a lot of fun, and I'm shocked that the critics liked it more than audiences. And now we're gonna take a look at my all-time favorite Disney movie, Mulan. This one's another one of those scenes that remind me of the dramatic heft in the Disney animated films of the 90s. Mulan, who, as we know, is pretending to be a man in the army, taking the place of her father, is walking with, her fellow soldiers, and after a very cheerful song, they encounter a village that has been destroyed. This is one of those few moments in Disney films that violence feels very present in a dark way. So let's take a look at this scene.
Search for survivors.
Growing up, this scene felt like a really powerful reminder of mortality and of the stakes of the story, of how death was very present in the story of Mulan and of this period in history.
The general.
So we're definitely not picking lighthearted moments. This one is also one of those hard-hitting sequences in this period of Disney films. I love that in this moment we get a shot of Mushu and Cricket, the sidekicks, and even they are stunned and sad. There's not even a moment of a comic relief. They don't have any quip to say because this is such a dark, heavy moment, and Mulan is holding this ragdoll that represents a child from this village who also perished in the attack, and so the fact that they included this scene to really remind us of the stakes of what Mulan and the soldiers are fighting for, and how death is really present and possible, just feels heavy in a way that again is unexpected for a film in the Disney canon. In a film like this too, because it's a very funny movie. Mulan has a lot of great, hilarious scenes with Mushu, great quotable lines. But in this moment, right before the big epic avalanche battle, where Mulan proves herself to be the hero, we get this heavy reminder that death is just around the corner and could happen at any moment for these characters. And again, as I talk about these heavy scenes, it's strange to think that these movies are in a Disney film because they carry so much, adult material, so heavy themes about honor and life and death and the choices that we make. And so I think that's one of the reasons why Mulan always felt like a different movie than all the other Disney films for me and really resonated. I think that in this one, perhaps better than in Hunchback, the comedy and the drama and the difficult parts of the story are melded in a way that feels more organic, and perhaps that's why Mulan was better received. Every time I watch it, I keep on sort of falling in love with the characters and the story and the animation. Definitely this one would be way higher for me in terms of the percentage of the tomato meter, but I do agree that it does feel like it broke new ground, and it presented a heroine, female protagonist that was different from the others. So it's always strange to me when I see merchandise or photos of all the quote-unquote princesses, and Mulan is one of them because she's a warrior. She saved China, not to diminish the other princesses, but Mulan does feel like a particularly unique female protagonist in Disney films. And the movie still has some great songs, so I feel like really this one just packs all of it: the comedy, the heartfelt, powerful drama, the music, the animation. Yeah, so I feel like everyone should just go and watch Mulan. I think the Disney Renaissance holds such an important place in the history of animation, not only for Disney but in general, because it really felt like a period where the medium, the storytelling, advanced, and they were trying things that they hadn't done before, not only in terms of the music but visually. The stories got more ambitious. They were adapting things like Hamlet or The Hunchback of Notre Dame, literary classics transformed into animated features. They dug into Greek mythology or Chinese legend or even Tarzan, and so they were really trying to make animation be the vehicle to tell these classic stories that already were sort of like tried and tested by time. They had endured centuries of being sort of significant for humanity, and so now they're being put forward in a way that mainstream audiences can see them, understand them. They're made, essentially for children, and so I think that to me speaks of a really ambitious vision behind all of these movies that unfortunately I don't think has continued in the last couple of decades. There have been, of course, examples of great Disney movies over the last 20 years after this period, but that sort of a bulk of multiple movies having all these qualities feels kind of like a once-in-a-lifetime thing. And the Disney Renaissance has been such a foundational part of my love for movies that to get to talk about them and sort of dissect them from a critical perspective is a great opportunity for me to even sort of grapple with my own thoughts about these movies that perhaps I haven't often thought about in a critical sense, because I watched them when I was a kid and they mean so much to me emotionally and personally. So this seems like a great exercise to look at them from a critical point of view.